You know that the law profession is indispensable in Nigeria because it exists within the larger context of the judiciary, which is the third arm of government in Nigeria, of course, anywhere in the world. And so what does this mean? What does new leadership mean for NBA? And what does this also mean for Nigerians and Nigeria? With me in the studio, with me to expand on this topic are two guests, important guests, two luminaries. We have Barrister Ephraim Ugonye and Barrister Fanyi Nriarike. Barrister Ugonye and Barrister Nriarike, you are welcome to this program.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
All right. Barrister Nriarike, are you there? Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
All right. Okay, I can see you now.
Yes.
So, the NBA is expecting a new leadership from August. Now, okay, let me start with you, Barrister Ugonye. What does this mean for the organization, NBA, as well as Nigerians as a whole?
Well, I am. Congratulations to Mr. Afam Osigwe to become the president of Nigerian Bar Association is a very important achievement for any lawyer in Nigeria. As you rightly observed, it was a very highly contested and highly coveted position. And for him to win, it meant he worked so hard. It meant he was able to prevail over his opponents. It meant that he enjoyed the majority of the votes of Nigerian lawyers. So it is quite a significant achievement for him, and I congratulate him for that. But going beyond that, I don't think that the change of the leadership of the bar will necessarily result in any significant change in the problems or situations we have seen with the Nigerian bar over the years. I recently made a post and I wrote an article immediately upon hearing that Afam had become the president of the bar. I said, congratulations to him, but there wasn't much expected in terms of change. You have to understand that Afam came through a history. He had a history with the bar. He was once their secretary.
Are we having a problem? It seems it is a network issue. Try to recover, Barrister Ugonye. Now let's move to you, Barrister Nriarike. Do you agree with what? Okay, he's back. Barrister Ugonye, are you there?
So he is pretty much an insider.
Please turn your audio on. I can't hear you.
Are we back on? Hello?
I can hear you. Speak on.
Okay, very well. So I think that, yes, good for him to become the bar chairman. Personally, it's an achievement, great achievement for him. It takes him to the pinnacle of his professional career. That is good. But in terms of being able to achieve the objectives of the bar, the original objectives of the bar, promoting in a tangible, clear manner, the administration of justice in Nigeria, helping to overcome the problems we have seen in the bar, had been said about judicial corruption, about ineptitude in the profession, about delayed justice, and about the welfare of Nigerian lawyers. I don't think there's going to be any remarkable change. It has been this situation, or the golden days of the bar seem to have been over with the end of military rule. I remember during the military rule, the Nigerian Bar Association was vigorous. It was led by men of strong vision, and they were committed to that vision, which was to combat dictatorship then. But since we returned to democracy, the Nigerian bar had become something else. The lawyers had become, the senior lawyers had become mad in politics, became part of the problem rather than part of the solution. I can go on listing a whole lot of things, but I think probably I will say more because of that. At this opening, I will say good for our farm, but not necessarily good for the bar. It's just going to be the same old thing.
Right, thank you, Barrister Boy. I've gotten the gist of that. Now let's turn to Barrister Realike. Barrister Realike, are you there? Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
All right. Your colleague here just said that the leadership you're going to have from August will just be the same that you have been seeing. But I remember that this present, the president-elect, Afam, during his campaign prior to the election, he was campaigning on the grounds of he's being tagged a reform-minded person because he campaigned on the grounds of the capacity to challenge corruption in the judiciary. He talked about when he's being elected, he was going to bring reforms in the judiciary in terms of challenging incapacity, incompetence, and inducement in the judiciary. So do you agree with your colleague here, or do you have a different opinion?
Good morning, viewers. Thank you for inviting me, and thank you for everything. First of all, as my colleague Emeku Gwonye have said, the senior colleague, I will equally use this opportunity to congratulate Mazi Afam Osigwe on his landslide victory at the just concluded NBA election. In as much as the NBA election is a very wonderful one, because for the first time in history, there is a balance of gender. We have 5 men and 5 women, and they are now going to give us something that we've always lacked. To a very large extent, I disagreed with my senior colleague, Emeku Gwonye. The truth is that faith is character, and the character is faith. Afam Osigwe is somebody that I know very, very well. When I mean very, very well, I know very, very well. I know his antecedent. He is what you call a complete and a dispassionate barman. He is going to bring something to the table. If he's not going to bring something to the table, I won't waste my time voting for him. I voted for him. And the thousands of Nigerians of lawyers that are legal practitioners equally voted for him. We were passionate. The truth about it is that when you go through the antecedent of Mazi Afam Osigwe SAN, there are certain things that are very clear. One is that Mazi
Barrister, your audio is turned. All right. I can't hear you. Okay.
Mazi Afam Osigwe,
right.
Sorry, Mazi Afam Osigwe has always been a trailblazer. If you go through his antecedent, when he was the publicity secretary of the Nigerian Bars, Unity Bar of the Nigerian Bar Association, that is the FCT. When he was the chairman of the Nigerian Bar Association, FCT, he was very, very vibrant and active. And when he became the general secretary of the Nigerian Bar Association, Mazi Afam Osigwe was able to produce milestones. It was during his tenure as the Secretary General of Nigerian Bar Association that we had stamp and sell. With that stamp and sell, quacks were completely, when I mean completely, eliminated from the practice of law in Nigeria. Before then, we were having problem of quacks coming in. And it was during his time as the Nigerian Bar Association, that was the time that the MBA house in FCT was built for the MBA secretariat, a massive building of which when you visit, you will see what we are talking about. Even as the chairman of recent, the last appointment he held before this election, he was the chairman of the Legal Practitioners Remuneration Committee. And he saw to it that there is a Legal Practitioners Remuneration Order 2023. That Legal Practitioners Remuneration Order 2023 is meant to improve the welfare of lawyers and to bring a standard and a base upon which lawyers can charge for their professional fees. It is no longer a situation whereby the lawyer will now go out and you charge whatever you want. His primary consideration is lawyers and the lawyers' welfare. I will tell you, I will give you equally an instance. Even in his acceptance speech, he made it very clear that he will engage in constructive engagement with all the elements of government. He is not, we should be careful because he's not the president of Federal Republic of Nigeria. So he's just going to be a pressure group. His association and administration, they are going to be a pressure group. Everything, it won't be hooray at the end of the day, but there will be manifest improvement in things. The Mazia Famosigwe that I know and of whom I have heard so many times during the electioneering campaign speak, have promised us that he's not going to be compromising or patronizing, but that he is going to engage in constructive engagement on how to move Nigeria forward from the angle of the Nigerian Bar Association. His mandate, the mandate with which he ran, was proactive bar. The proactive bar was meant to bring the vibrancy of the Nigerian Bar Association, where we no longer have, when you go to election, it will be jamboree, where you try to understand and rationalize administration. We've gone beyond that particular level. It is on the basis of that we are saying that I feel that Mazi Afamochiwe will bring the necessary change if other aspects of Nigeria is willing to listen to him and take in his suggestions. Thank you very much.
Okay, still on your case. How did you feel the past government of the present president of NBA? How do you think his reign went?
The truth about it is
concerning
that,
the 2023 general elections and the subsequent judicial processes that went on. So how did NBA see that election processes and tribunals?
I don't speak for NBA. I speak for myself. And the truth about it is that I was not so impressed with his administration. You know, just like I kept on saying, we don't so much know about him before he became the NBA president. And there was no activism. And when he came in, he tried to, he was a little bit, in my own view, compromising and patronizing. Let me not say compromising, but he was patronizing. You can see during the 2023 general election, of which Mazi Afamosigwe SAN was the chairman of the monitoring committee for NBA. Before the report will come out, the president has gone to the news media trying to say that the election was free and fair, this and that, and all those things. When in actual fact, the report by the NBA monitoring committee submitted by Mazi Afamosigwe SAN was actually saying that the results were marred by irregularities. So that is for one. And that equally shows you the type of person Mazi Afamosigwe he is. He is not a person to whom you can box into a box, or you allow him not to say things the way they are, irrespective of whose us is God. That is, I was not so impressed with his administration, but the beauty of democracy is that soldier will go, soldier will come, the barrack will remain.
All right, thank you very much, Barrister Reality. Let's go back to Barrister Ugwonye. Barrister Ugwonye, you heard your colleague.
Yes,
But
indeed. I commend my colleague. He's quite a brilliant young man. And thank you very much for your comments, your kind words about me. But let me remind you that at this moment, the election is over and AFAM has been elected. So in answering the question you asked, we are not trying to campaign for AFAM. I see that most of what my colleagues said was more of a campaign speech, how nice AFAM is, how he will change things, and how exceptional a human being he is. I don't dispute any of those things. But at this point in time, we are not campaigning for him. We are asking realistically, given all we know about the bar, given all we know about institutional setup and arrangements of the bar, would the emergence of AFAM drastically or dramatically alter the situation or the problems he mentioned? I don't think so, because it's not about a personal matter. It's not about how nice the gentleman is. That was what they dealt with during the election. At this moment, we are dealing with institutional exigencies on the ground. Let me ask you something. When you say that the previous guy was not good, but AFAM is good, who elected the previous guy? Was it not the same set of people who elected AFAM now that elected the previous guy? Was it not the same processes that led to it? So you got to look at the institutional issues. Everything is not really about human beings. It doesn't matter how nice you are as an individual. It doesn't matter how able you are with your friends and those things. When you walk into a situation, you have to look at what we call the constraints, the obstacles. I spoke of the obstacles. So I don't see anything that suggests there's going to be a different outcome, because almost everything my colleague said about AFAM, I'm sure somebody else said similar things about Apata. Somebody else said similar things about the past president. My fear is that this time, 2 years from now, somebody will be saying the same kind of thing about AFAM as this gentleman said about the outgoing president. The question was, you have to look, I'm sure it was nice he mentioned achievements of AFAM. That's probably more to the point. But the question is, AFAM has been an insider. What was his ability to alter things? What could he achieve despite his nicety, his great qualities in his previous positions? He might not have done all he wanted to do because he was constrained. If you look at the infighting, whether it was Apata, let me just focus on the last two administrations, whether it was Apata or it was the last man, there had been internal infighting within the bar. I recall the controversy that arose when the Bar Association wanted to make El-Rufai their keynote speaker or something, and the whole thing exploded, leading to even a temporary emergence of an alternative bar association. I think that the Nigerian Bar Association is as structured, is actually dysfunctional. I've highlighted a few things. If you ask me what is the role of bar, we can talk of the welfare of lawyers. Nigerian lawyers are the least paid in the world. Absolutely. Indeed, the situation of Nigerian lawyers, looking at remuneration of young lawyers, salaries and otherwise of young lawyers, I will call it slavery. There's nowhere, even in Ghana, the standard of living and remuneration of lawyers in Ghana is far more equitable. In Nigeria, the very senior lawyers are the richest in the country. They are competing with entrepreneurs. But the junior lawyers in Nigeria are receiving salaries of $50,000. I met a young lawyer who said to me that she earns $50,000 and been earning, 50,000 naira. I've been earning that for some time. I was shocked. What would anybody do with 50,000 naira? That's probably money for lunch on one occasion. So, and yet Nigeria is supposed to be relatively bigger than Ghana and all those things. So now to tell me that any one man, even if it is Angel Gabriel, will imagine coming to the bar and alter that, that is being too optimistic and too hopeful. So, okay, if you look at the way Nigerian bar is structured, you have very powerful people, the powerful sons who are billionaires. So you tell me that our family is going to come in and rein them in? It's not possible. He is relatively a junior son. He's a nice guy. How is he going to fight the mighty powers that be? So I wish him well and I hope he succeeds. But realistically speaking, despite his best of intentions, I don't see any remarkable difference. I mean, Abata came into the bar. There was so much optimism. There was so much hope about Abata. Abata, he had run a successful law firm. He wasn't even a son. That was even the first time or one of the occasions in recent time that a non-son defeated a son in the by-election. That was Abata. Abata was, for me, as I thought then, a major shift. I saw a shift in the culture in the bar. He raised a lot of questions. He created a number of precedents. Not only was he able to become a bar leader, having mostly been a commercial lawyer, that is, lawyer in the non-litigious criminal cases, and then also not being a son. We thought, wow, a new trail had been bridged. But look at what happened. Within a relative period of time, we returned to the old order, and then we produced the man we now condemn as not being so good. But he was produced by the same people that produced our firm. So I think our family is going to come in. He will inherit so much problem. He may make some impact. But I think that the best achievement is for him to begin to lay the groundwork for major change within the bar. But I don't think he could do much in 2 years' time. Nigerian Prince, before I go, because it's important when we speak about the bar, it's important for us to have an idea what the bar is supposed to do. The bar cannot become the government and solve all the problems in the country, but within the judicial system, the bar has a very critical role. In the research I conducted recently, I looked at the critical elements in the administration of justice. We saw the judges, we saw the police, judges, correctional services, and the bar. The bar is critical. I pointed out in my post my experience when I was detained in Kuje. I was surprised to see that Nigerian lawyers were not coming to the prisons. And when they come to the prisons, they're sending the most junior lawyers. The inmates in Nigeria, of course, 80% of people in prison today have not been tried. They have not been tried. I can tell you that a bulk of that will be addressed if all the people all represented in prison would get lawyers. If the Bar Association could do so more in the direction of pro bono service, it's very easy to create jobs for the unemployed lawyers. I see young lawyers unemployed, not properly remunerated. Get all of them, send them to the prisons. Make sure that everybody in prison is represented by counsel. Because if a judge felt it necessary to remand a person in prison, at that moment, that person ought to have lawyers. You will say the legal aid is not working. The lawyers in the legal aid are not properly remunerated. And oftentimes, they don't have the incentive for the kind of work necessary to make a change in the system. So it is, as I said, congratulations to Afam. I do not doubt his personal qualities as a great individual. No. But I am looking at institutional setup. I can identify 20 obstacles on the road, 20 hurdles that Afam will have to scale through if you want for him to succeed. And I don't think that any normal person can do that.
Okay. Before you identify those obstacles, let me have some thoughts from Barrister Reality. Now, you are supporting this man, Afam. His major, or should I say, one of his major promises was to fight corruption in the judiciary, especially when judges take decisions out of inducement. But what this man has been in the system over the years, what antecedents can you bring up to make Nigerians believe that this man is going to bring a new thing on the table?
Thank you very much. The truth about it is that the question about corruption in the judiciary is not actually what Nigerian Bar Association can solve. Just like Emeku Ugwonye said, it's an institutional problem. It's an institutional problem. It goes through a process. If we are saying that there is corruption in the judiciary, it has to be investigated. It has to be proved beyond reasonable doubt. And whoever that is involved has to be sanctioned. I may not lay my hands on those judges and the justices that have been, or judicial officers that have been sanctioned. But we've read a couple of them in the newspapers, either sanctioned by the NJC, National Judicial Council, or even sanctioned by the Judicial Service Commission of the various states. The truth about it is that we must situate Nigerian Bar Association. It is just a voice for the voiceless. Nigerian Bar Association is not Nigerian Police. It is not ICPC. It is not EFCC. It is just an association of lawyers. To that extent, it cannot do beyond that which it can do. Just like my friend has rightly stated, which to an extent I equally agreed with my position when I said that we have to recall that Mazi Afam Osigwe is not the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. So to that extent, there is a limit to what he can do. He gave us an example of the past administrations, that of the Apata administration and the Mekiel administration that is coming to an end. The truth about it is that everybody is aware that
I can't see you again.
Yes, everybody is aware. Everybody is aware that Apata did exceptionally well. Today, within the Nigerian Bar Association, whenever we mention Apata, we remember the sweet memories of so many wonderful things he did. He raised bar leadership. And I am certain, to a very large extent, that on the basis of what we know about Afam, because if you want to know about somebody, you have to go back to antecedent. When you go to his antecedent, what he has done in the past, some of which I pointed out, we believe that within the ambience of his office, within the realm of his office, that he will do very, very well. I have no doubt in my mind that he will do very well. But as it concerns fighting institutional challenges, there is a limitation to which he can do that. It may not be easily possible for him to do that. And again, 2 years is too short a time for him to achieve all these things. But the truth about it is that foundations must be laid. And when you talk about electing the past leadership of NBA, the truth about it is that this election, there are choices that are there. From the choices that are there, you have to make a choice out of it. And out of the choices that were presented, Mekiel incidentally happened to be the best. We might not know exactly the reason that informed his approach to leadership. We might not know the reason that informed his approach to leadership. But the truth about it is that, just like we said, we wanted a vibrant bar. We wanted a proactive bar, which he did not offer. To me, I keep on saying that that is my opinion. But as it concerns Afam, I feel that within the realm of expectation of Nigerian Bar Association, that he is going to do very well. And it is even too short. You can't write him off. If you start saying that because these things are here, these things are there, challenges are there, institutional problems are there, that AFAM will not do it. What is the basis? What is the criteria? Because if you want to know what somebody can achieve, you look at what he has achieved in the past. Within the time that he worked within the Nigerian Bar Association, he did a lot. Everybody saw it. And that is why there is high expectation, except if he will fail us, of which I doubt 100% that he will not fail. There is a high expectation that on the basis of what we know about him, that going forward, he will do better. The AFAM that we know has achieved, we can lay our hands and point at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 he has done in terms of welfare, in terms of infrastructure, in terms of building branches and increasing the awareness of lawyers. In terms of speaking out, he has spoken out about the lapses in our security agencies. When lawyers were kidnapped, he was bold enough, notwithstanding that it was during election period, to talk against it, to demand responsibility from the Nigerian police authorities, and so many other things. So when you look at it, there is a limit to which he can do, but under him, I am 100% sure that Nigerian Bar Association will do well within the powers they have. And they can equally talk to the authorities and be that voice to the National Assembly and to the judiciary, and they correct them where necessary. And they say, because at times it is not, you can't force down your opinion on them. But I am 100% sure that he will be fearless. And just like Emeku Ugwonye, who has some wonderful ideas, I will equally suggest that he will be part of that institutional reforms that we will need in the Nigerian Bar Association so that we can move to the next level. He has so much he can offer. It is not enough. We can't sit by the side and say, these things will not work, this thing will not work. But if in our own little spaces, we are working and we are moving things forward, in our own little spaces, if things are working in our own little spaces, we will be surprised the amount we can cover in trying to make things to be progressive. I believe in that, in as much as the change in the NBA leadership will not bring all the changes that we need, but the change in NBA leadership will bring some substantial changes, of which, if we're able to get it right in the next 2 years, when the next election will happen, that particular leadership that will come in 2 years will continue from wherever Mazi Afam might have stopped. Thank you.
I appreciate you, Barrister. You talked about, excuse me, before we move to Mr. Barrister Ugwonye, I want to ask you something, because you said that the NBA is just a voice for the people. Of course, that's true. Now, there are Nigerians whose right to life, right to property, and other civil liberties are constantly trampled upon, encroached upon, and constantly abused on a daily basis in our local areas. But because of the pecuniary and monetary aspect attached to legal action, they are drawing backwards. They refuse to institute any kind of legal action against these culprits. So what is the NBA doing about this kind of people? How do you conduct something like pro bono actions or arrangements for this kind of people?
Yes, that question is very, very important and very beautiful. You know, the problem is that at times what we don't have is knowledge. NBA has pro bono service section. That is, if you have a problem, if you don't have lawyers that will help you and everything, NBA offers free legal services. Even Nigerian Bar Association National Secretariat, we have a register where you come, you register. The only thing that can be done is that I don't know to the extent of the decentralization of that pro bono services, whether it is actually decentralized to the branches, so that anybody who is having challenges can go to the branches and receive pro bono services from Nigerian Bar Association. It is there. It is only for, just like I told you, I don't know to what extent that it is functioning at the local branches. But at the national level, there is the pro bono services section of the Nigerian Bar Association that is equally functional. And you can't even become SAN, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, or you can't even apply to be Senior Advocate of Nigeria if there are no evidence of you rendering pro bono services to the poor Nigerians. It is one of the basic criteria for you to be made, for you to be considered for elevation to the inner bar as a senior advocate. The records must be documented and are documented. So I feel that in that aspect, and in the other aspect, you know, there are lawyers that are scattered everywhere. Even in the remuneration order, it equally allows for free legal services, but there are procedures. You have to depose an affidavit and state exactly what happened, why you will not be able to charge the type of fee that is required for you to charge. But if it comes to criminal, particularly in criminal cases, pro bono services are rendered, apart from the one that is rendered by the legal aid, there is equally the one that is rendered by the Nigerian Bar Association. Thank you.
That was fantastic. Barrister Ugwuonye,
Yes.
we have talked a lot about the president-elect. Now, what changes would you like to see, or what would you advise the organization to do to boost their services, for Nigerians, and to enhance the progress of the organization?
Thank you very much for that question. I think the new administration of the bar should consider a number of internal institutional changes in the bar. I want to see more decentralization of the Nigerian bar. I want to see the local bars at state levels being strong enough to carry out major events and intervention in major cases. Because the gentleman, my colleague here, spoke about the need for decentralization. He said he's not sure the extent to which these things were decentralized. I can say definitively that there has been very little degree of decentralization. So much is focused at the bar, at the center, making it more difficult for the bar to reach out to the, to local levels, and also creating incentive. If you notice, there has been a clamor to have alternative bar association. Many people have thought about this. And why would that be? It is because people are perceiving undue concentration of the power in the center. I have nothing against power being given to anybody, but power must be exercised in a manner that results in effective service to society. So what is the level of autonomy at state level? What can they do? When you have cases of police atrocities, abuse of rights, what sort of intervention can the bar give as an organization? What does the bar have at state level to enable them intervene at state level for cases of abuse? Now, if you ask me, other things that could be done, there are so many simple little things that the bar could do to change the game. For instance, you know that for many years, I was crying out against what I perceived as police atrocities and the abuse of rights of people. So, but when I began to look into these things, I found out that 80% of the time, the police are acting on a petition written by a lawyer. Nigerian lawyers are filing false, frivolous petitions against their opponents or against the opponent of their clients, upon which the police will now go. We had an instance where a lawyer involved in a domestic dispute between his client and her husband went and wrote a petition against the husband of his client and told the police that the man had a gun. And the police went in. Can you imagine the police coming into against somebody who is believed to have a gun, to be armed and dangerous? Whereas indeed the lawyer just fabricated that to make sure the man was arrested. The bar should be concerned about that. If the bar can make sure that its members are not writing frivolous petitions to the police. Probably we can curtail from that angle some of these police abuses. So how do we do that? The bar can request its members, if you have to write a petition to the police for the arrest of someone, give a copy to the bar. So every lawyer, it's not going to be difficult. Whenever you write a petition to the police for someone to be arrested, CC the bar. So that gives the bar the opportunity to make sure that the lawyers are not the ones triggering these police abuses that we report against. So now, talking about corruption, it is incredible. I don't know, honestly speaking, what Alpha Osigwe could do to stop corruption automatically. What we probably need to do is to look into the roles of lawyers in the corrupt processes. Judges don't always have direct contact with litigants. No, it is somebody that is going to approach a staff of the judge, and from the staff of the judge to the judge, and then either corruption occurs or significant appearance of corruption takes place. So the bar can focus on its own members, their participation in this sort of engagements, focusing, for instance, on certain communications that are not supposed to occur. All ex parte communications between lawyers and judges should be taken seriously. So, as I said in the beginning, I started by observing that the problems are too humongous, that even Angel Gabriel will not undo it. However, Alpha Osigwe, like any incoming president, has the opportunity to make up his mind and organize some institutional changes, some subtle changes. One thing is empower the regional bar, empower the state bar. In the United States, I want to emphasize this. In the United States, there is nothing like the national bar. The national bar is only ceremonial. Like if you hear American Bar Association, it is purely ceremonial. The real bar, the real power of the bar, disciplinary powers, all those things are at state levels. At state levels. So I'm not suggesting that Nigeria be transformed into United States model overnight, but there is need for diffusion of power, empowerment of the state bar, giving them all that is necessary, maintaining supervision over them, of course, and focus more on service delivery to the needy. All right? Yes, there are pro bono here and there, but you have to incentivize these people. You have to provide funding. When you hear that a case is rendered pro bono, it doesn't mean that there are no costs to those cases. There are huge costs. The only thing it meant is that the client is not asked to bear that cost. So when you want the young lawyers to go out there and take on pro bono cases, there must be some incentive structure that they get remunerated, they get paid for their out-of-pocket expenses and all this. Let me also say this before I know time is pressing. One other way to help is this. If you look at the United States, I keep mentioning United States because I am very familiar with it. You find out that pro bono service is mandatory for all lawyers. Pro bono services is mandatory for all lawyers, but there are ways to do it. If you don't have time, if you don't have free time to give, if you don't have free time to give, then you should have money. So lawyers contribute money who cannot go to court. Even lawyers in corporate sector who don't practice law in courts, who are not in litigation, they are required to pay a particular amount of money, which is used to maintain the pro bono service of the bar. And from that fund, you pay lawyers willing to offer pro bono. So the gentleman, my colleague, said something very nice. They need to have a pro bono system in the bar. But how is it funded? It has to be adequately funded. And the way to...
Barrister Ugwoye, thank you very much for your contribution. Barrister, really, now, in your final words, briefly tell Nigerians why the Nigerian Bar Association is important for them and what they can expect from August when the president-elect will be inaugurated? Briefly.
Well, I'm happy we're having
The truth
this
about it is
conversation.
that I'm not the spokesman of the Nigerian Bar Association, and I won't tell you here categorically what to expect from them. But the truth about it is that my own expectation of the Nigerian Bar Association, I expect a proactive bar. I expect a bar that is vigilant. I expect a bar that is interactive. I expect a bar that will have the welfare of the people as of primary importance and of utmost importance. I expect a bar that will engage the Federal Republic of Nigeria and all institutions and make sure that the voice of the voiceless is heard. And I expect a bar that will look into particularly these pro bono services and the dimension my senior colleague has taken it to. There is an innovation that he just mentioned, which is very, very wonderful. A situation of whereby if you cannot personally engage in pro bono services as a lawyer, you have to contribute for those that are engaging. And the committee set up to actually manage it down to the local branches of the Nigerian Bar Association. That way, you will have justice for the downtrodden, for the poor, for people that cannot afford to pay for legal services being rendered. The most important thing is that registers will now be opened at the various local branches. And all these things are documented. I know during the past elections, I know some political parties that did something like that. They had fund specifically meant for litigation to go down if there is any problem that their supporters are having down at the local government level, at the town level, and they were there. And equally to engage the Nigerian police force, because that is very, very important, to engage the Nigerian police force and make sure that all the abuses which we have been seeing, and so many, there are litany of them, and that they are checked. I equally expect that there will be a bar bench forum at the national level. This bar bench forum at the national level, where the Nigerian Bar Association will engage the bench so that we can talk about what are the challenges. If we are having problem with any particular judge, we can talk about it there and trash it out. Those things in the days of the year helped so much. I remember as a younger lawyer, we had bar bench forum at the Unity Bar. At that particular place, we discussed with the CJ of FCT. We talk, we challenge, we say, look, this judge is not doing well. This judge is not doing well. This judge is coming by 10 o'clock. This one is coming by 12 o'clock. And we will equally say that this area court judge is not doing well. He has to be sanctioned. That the power you have given to this customary court is too much. That it has to be reduced and things like that, or that they are abusing their powers. Specific instances were made. I had the privilege of attending most of these meetings, even as a young lawyer then. So I feel that that particular aspect should equally be looked into, because first of all, we must clean our house. Our house must not be stenching, while at the same time we are going out there telling people that they are not doing well. Because just like they say, the judiciary must remain the last hope of the common man. And not only that, it must remain the last hope of the common man, it must be seen. It must be seen to be the last hope of the common man. And to that extent, I believe the Nigerian Bar Association can do a lot, house cleansing, inside moderation, as it concerns that aspect of the administration of our famous Igwe. If we can put all these things in place, they are not rocket science. They are doable. Just make up your mind to do them, and you will do them. And I have that unflinching belief that he will achieve this and many more, because you have to go and read his wonderful manifesto and see what he will tell you that he will achieve. And I know that he has a book where anyone that is achieved, he will take it. He's not going to solve every problem overnight, but he will give a direction, hopefully, at least from the much I know of him. Thank you.
Barrister Fanyi Realike and Barrister Emeka Ugwonye. That was an instructive conversation we have had. Thank you very much. We hope to meet you next time.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
All right.
How was it? Okay. Thanks.
Disconnect.